Oh. Buenos días, clase. ¿Cómo están? So we are about to get started today. Today is day 1 in our school calendar, but day 2 of our lesson plans. Hoy vamos a hablar del futuro. Today's plan is to work on your textbook. Remember that I have photocopy pages, all the pages that you need, so you can access those if you don't have your textbook, okay? Then after working with the textbook, there are a couple of videos that I suggested, but I'm going to try to give all the explanation that you need in this video. But if you want something with a little bit more pizzazz, a little bit more visual, you can certainly access those. There are 2 videos here, one about the regular forms. And also for today, there are some exercises, simple exercises on page 218. That's probably at most 10 minutes of work answering those questions, but I'd like you to take some time reading the information, okay? So, hoy vamos a hablar del futuro. Hay 2 maneras de representar el futuro en español. Se puede decir ir a, por ejemplo, voy a estudiar más tarde. I'm going to study later. Voy a comer después de las 10 de la mañana. I'm going to eat after 10 a.m. But there is also a different way. Se puede también decir yo comeré, which is the equivalent of I will eat. El tiempo futuro es el más fácil de todos. ¿Por qué? Porque el tiempo futuro se conjuga igual para todas las personas. Y para todos los verbos independientes si terminan con AR, ER y R. So, there's obviously a change in conjugation, say from the yo form to to form. But if I am conjugating an AR verb, the ending is the same as an ER verb and an IR verb, okay? Now, I don't have a lot of fancy technology here to show you, so I'm just going to point out that if you look on page 216, there is a table with 3 regular verbs, hablar, deber, abrir, okay? So let's look at hablar, okay? Hablaré, hablarás, hablará, hablaremos, hablaréis. So notice there is something very unique about the future tense. That unlike other conjugations, where you remove the last 2 letters, for the future tense, all you need to do is to add the ending after the verb. So hablar, hablaré. Comer, comeré. Vivir, viviré. So it's ridiculously easy. In fact, I could probably teach future tense in Spanish 1. It's actually a lot simpler than present tense, but it kind of like doesn't make sense to teach future tense when you still don't know how to say present tense. That's why we keep it to Spanish 3 or 4, okay? Now, of course, like everything else in Spanish, there are some exceptions. So let's look at some of these. Primero, if you look down the list on page 216, caber. Repitan, caber. Caber means to fit. The yo form, cabr, so cabré, cabré. Haber, that's the verb to be, meaning there is, okay? And it is habré. Now, notice that the verb haber, normally, at this point, we don't use in all forms. We have used that for the present perfect and the past perfect, right? For example, yo he comprado. María ha comprado. Nosotros hemos comprado. Now, We will be doing the conjugation of haber for every one of the different subject pronouns, because later on we're going to learn a new tense called the future perfect, which is when you want to say something like I will have done. For example, let's say that you were talking about your plans for the day and say you want to say that by 12 o'clock I will have completed all my homework. So that's an example of future perfect, which is way down the road, okay? So if you look at the other verbs, we have poder, podré, querer, querré, saber, sabré, poner, pondré, salir, saldré, tener, tendré, valer, valdré. Now the verb valer, think of the word value. So it means to be worth it, okay? Normally, we don't use in the yo form because we don't say I'm worth something. No, we usually use in the third person, like he or she or they. Like, for example, este muñeco de Ron valdrá $30 en el futuro. No, this little Ron pop figure will be worth, I can never put this guy straight. It will be worth $30 in the future, okay? Then we have venir, vendré, I will come, decir, diré. Notice decir is quite tricky because in the preterite has a J, yo dije. In the present has a G, yo digo. And in the future tense, it has an R, diré. So pay attention to that one. Hacer, haré. Satisfacer, and this one is satisfaré. We don't usually use this verb very often. It would talk, this is basically something was satisfied, okay? All right, so let's talk about some general rules of the future tense. Now, you might be wondering what's the difference between ir a plus infinitive and the actual future tense? Well, the difference between using will and ir a or I'm going to is that typically when we use the actual future conjugation, comeré, hablaré, viviré, you're talking about things that you're generally more convinced that you're going to do. There is a degree of certainty, okay? Entonces, let's say you say, llegaré a la clase temprano. I will arrive to class early, okay? Ir a is more used in common speech, okay? I would call it a little bit less fancy, okay? Voy a comprar una empanada. I'm going to buy an empanada, okay? Now, there is something that is very different between English and Spanish in terms of the future tense. Sometimes, if you want to make a request to someone, you can use the future tense in English. Like, for example, hey, Jason, will you go to the faculty room and pick up my photocopies? So sometimes in English, instead of saying, could you go to the copy room or could you go to the faculty room and pick up a copy? I can say, Jason, will you go to the faculty room and do this? Well, you cannot say that in Spanish, okay? If I say, Jason, will you go to the faculty room? And I say, Jason, irá al salón de los profesores. It sounds like you're making a statement. It sounds like you're saying, Jason will go to the faculty room, okay? In that case, in Spanish, if I want to make a polite request, I will not use the future tense. I could use something as, ¿te gustaría ir al salón de los profesores? Or, ¿puedes ir al salón de los profesores? Or later on, you will learn the conditional tense, which would be, ¿podrías ir al salón de los profesores? Could you go to the faculty room? Okay? So that's one difference. Don't use the future tense if you're trying to make like a polite request. Okay. Now, the last thing about the future that I want to mention is that sometimes the future tense is used when you are, or what's the word? When you're talking about the probability of something, okay? Think of it as the expression in English, I wonder, okay? So let's say you're trying to say, I wonder if we have class in 2 weeks, okay? You could say literally, I wonder, like me pregunto, I ask myself, si tenemos clase en 2 semanas. Or you can use the verb tener in the future, and that's an irregular verb, and you could say, will we have class in 2 weeks? Tendremos clase en 2 semanas. So that's another use. But I would say that 99% of the time, you use the future tense when you say, I will do something, ¿no? Iré a la casa de mi mejor amiga, ¿no? Compraré un libro de historia nuevo. Okay? All right. So if you need extra help, you can watch those 2 videos. They're very well produced. One with regular verbs and one with the irregular forms. And also you can leave a comment in the public section of this day, and then I will try to respond in a timely fashion. Okay? Don't forget to do your work and turn in by the end of the day. And that's it for today.